Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, this is the Chronicles, Dallas Cowboy podcast. I'm Troy Hill, joined with Ron, a.k.a. the Starstruck Fan. Lisa and Kyle are out on special assignment. But we're here to celebrate a Cowboys victory. I know we had some nervousness in the last couple episodes we've done, but the Cowboys went out there and they accomplished the task at hand, 20-17 over the Los Angeles Chargers. What are your thoughts on the game? Offensively, Ron.
Yeah, I mean, we kind of had a podcast or just prior to this one, and it started with one particular person centered around who is a key component on the offense.
Yes.
He went out an efficient game, led the offense with passing efficiency. Running game didn't look too good. There's a lot of people questioning Pollard's RB1 status. We probably can get into that as the show goes on.
Mm-hmm.
But from an offensive standpoint, Brandon Cooks, we had a Brandon Cooks signing, fighting into the end zone. Tight end was a little sparse.
Yes.
Ian in there. So really, offensively, Dak Prescott for the most part. It was Dak, and all the way Dak.
Yes, I totally agree. Me personally, I thought Dak did a pretty good job, especially the heat he's been taking. I'm sure this is more of a relief for him especially going into the bye week.
Yes.
Definitely a lot more efficient. It seemed that one thing that we have talked about, I know I've been a little more reluctant than you, Ron, but he moved his feet a lot more in this game. And I think, when you look at the brass tacks of it, I mean, this is probably the thing that's opened up the offense a little bit. What's your thoughts?
Like I said, we have got to see more of that. I know we've had discussions about it. I know Kyle's a little hesitant, and yourself, others are on just the fact of not wanting to put him in that situation because he's a quarterback, and I think it would be a lot easy to accept had we not seen the injury that he had with the ankle. Had this been Dak prior to the injury with the ankle, where we never saw him really off the field, I think we were more secure in that.
Yes.
But of course, that just lets us know, because we feel there's nobody really behind him, that's another season wasted if he goes down. But honestly, the more he does it, the better chance of we going another season without seeing a championship being hoisted by this team.
Yes, and plus he started looking like old Dak. I think my biggest reservations that I've had about him running the ball in the past, like probably within the recently in the last year and a half or so, is that it seems like he's always doesn't seem comfortable running. It seemed like he was kind of like Kyle said again. He's like literally running in buckets. But
stumbling.
Yeah, but I mean,
like Chris Berman used to say.
Yeah, but it kind of looked like remember the movie Forrest Gump where the kid was running with the braces and the brace kind of broke off and he was like back to running. I mean, that's what it kind of felt like with me. He looked more natural as he started, doing it more and more as the game went on. And that one play with him with Tony Pollard, that play was just lovely. I mean, that was classic old school first season Dak. So that was great. And he had another option too, the guy on the other side. So, I mean, I think the play, the way it was set up, it was pretty, I mean, I guess it wasn't a play, it was a broken play, but whatever it materialized into was definitely paid off for the Cowboys in that particular game or that particular play. One of my concerns is I know that I guess we could let's first talk about Tony Pollard. Because there has been ramblings, amongst fandom, and some even people that you see on TV say that he might not be a number one. I think he is. I have reasoning why I think that. What are your thoughts? Or you want me to just go ahead with my reasoning, or you want to go ahead and say what your opinion is?
Go ahead. Yeah, go ahead with your thought.
I just think that our offensive line is just not what it was. I think our offensive line, I don't know if it's like everyone's 100% healthy, but something going on with the offensive line.
Yeah.
I mean, Tony Pollard does not drop off from what he was last year to this all of a sudden.
Yeah.
He had like a bulk of carries last year in some situations also as well. So I don't think it's the fact that he's not a one. I think it's more so the fact that our offensive line is just not quite there to where they're supposed to be yet. I'm not saying they're going to be the wall like when we had DeMarco Murray and stuff like that. But I think
Yeah.
this line could be a lot better than what it currently is, and I think this bye week is going to help them out a lot to get them rested up a little bit more. What do you think?
Yeah. I believe there's two things at play. Number one, that O line, it's been shaky. It's been shaky at best, even with Dak Prescott when it comes to coverage.
Yes.
Protection, when it comes to protection.
Mm-hmm.
So there's already that concern there that we see there's inconsistency even in the pass protection. So yes, there has been inconsistencies, as we know, people in and out of the lineups. And I know everybody was securing themselves because we had all our starters back, but we're starting to see, I don't know if these guys are playing through injuries or age is starting to show or what.
Mm-hmm.
Just not looking like what we're accustomed to seeing when we're having it's not meeting our early expectations, having everybody back in the lineup. The second that I see as to play, now we gave Gallup a pass when
Yes.
he came back from injury.
Mm-hmm.
I think we even kind of gave Dak a pass when he came back off of his injury.
Mm-hmm.
Now Pollard's coming back. Is anybody considering the fact that Pollard's coming back off injury, and could be that at play as well? So you got the O line that's been makeshift in and out, and now you got Pollard still coming off of an injury that where he could be a factor. And then now I just thought about even a third thing in play. I mean, other people coming in taking the rock ain't really busting it wide open either. So that
True.
could as a reflection to the O line again. But right back over to you, Troy.
Well, no, I think that's an excellent point when you're talking about as far as his injury, him recovering from his injury, and you never know, he might not be right to the end of the season, towards the end of the season, which would be right about time for us. Gallup to me is a different conversation because yes, he's had time. Those two plays and stuff. Like you said, you thought he threw him a little bit that first touchdown. I think he still should have had it, and definitely the second one. So, there's issues with Gallup. I don't know if it's like we need to like try and make a major move or try and like do something for another receiver, which I'm sure that conversation is going to come up eventually. Maybe not within our circle, but definitely the media is going to start talking about it.
Amari Cooper.
Oh Lord, I don't remember that name. But no, we can briefly on Amari Cooper. It's like I understand what you're saying as far as like player. Don't get me. But my argument was never that. My argument was, how are you going to be able to pay him X, Y, Z, and all these other players? That's what the argument was. To me, it was a business decision. It wasn't. To me, it wasn't like a personnel. It was just a business decision. And that's just the way I look at it. Would I rather have Amari Cooper? I want to have Amari Cooper complete routes and stuff and show up every game. Yes, that's another caveat because there's some games he did not show up. Yeah, you know that. You're not gonna say it right now, but that's fine. Fine, we can say that off the air. But
oh no, I get it. I don't know.
It comes back to like the thing Lisa was talking about a couple of days ago about the Dak Prescott thing.
Yeah.
You got the money, you got X amount of money. You have to do these things and stuff. So what puts you in better position to do these things? So I understand the business aspect of Cooper not being on this roster anymore. But I don't know. I don't think this team, I don't think they're 100% healthy. I don't think they're close to being 100% healthy. I don't know if there's a setback to playing not healthy versus playing 100% healthy. I don't know if there's like, can you keep re-injuring yourself during this process? Of course you can. So, especially, people have been started to give Tyron Smith flack, which I also get. But still, we've already known what he's been the last 5 seasons. He's going to be available 10 times out of the season. 10 to 11 times out of the season, and he's not going to be there for every game, and that's just the way it's been. And when you talk about the point of quality of an effective lineman, sometimes 10, 11 times is better than what you can get out of most players out of the league in reality at that level. So, that's the other argument. What do you think about that?
Yeah, like you said, you're only going to get a certain amount of games out of it. And we knew that already coming into the season. As a matter of fact, there was a lot of the fan base that even was questioning the fact that why we're even bringing him back.
Yeah.
And even the other guy that we had last year in the team, they was like, well, maybe we should partner those two guys up together. The former Eagles guy that we had that had came in and played some games for us last year, that maybe we should split time between the
Oh,
two.
yeah,
And
I mean that would have been fine, but that's
Peters, I think it's
yeah,
Peters.
Peters, yeah, but
Yeah,
the problem is trade value for Tyron Smith. I wouldn't assume would be the greatest.
yeah,
You're not going to be able to get quality for him. Not the quality that you will want. You're not talking about 2 or 3 year Tyron Smith.
yeah,
So that's another fan thing, but that's our fan base in general. I mean, our fan base is so quick to cut everybody and stuff. I mean, I'm thankful. I mean, I don't like Jerry Jones. Don't get me wrong, but I'm thankful that Jerry Jones is a GM, because if some of these fans with their decisions, we would be bankrupt in about 5 minutes. I mean, you can't cut everybody from your team. And believe it or not, players make mistakes on a daily basis throughout games. So you can't definitely cut everybody. And I mean, I would like some of these fans to suit up and actually play so I can see mistake-free football, because I would love to see that. But that was me being sarcastic. But
that came up that I seen that someone asked the question, I guess, to Jerry Jones, what he thought about, with CD seeing the ball, the amount of times that he saw this past week. And his response to that was that he would like to see the ball distributed a little more. And I don't know why that response, I got my speculations of why a response like that would be made. That because the more you feed this guy the ball, the more it's going to look like, yeah, he's going to deserve every bit of the money that is coming to him.
True.
And secondly, I really don't know why he would say that. He would. I know we've got some other talent on the team. I do get that, but this guy is your wide receiver one. Even
Yeah.
though there's a lot of people questioning that because of stats, because of whatever reason that they want to question it, I don't care. On this roster, he is the wide receiver one. When I look
Yeah.
at the part, Brandon Cooks, I get that, but he's not. I don't believe he's really been a legitimate wide receiver one anywhere. And if he's being questioned as a wide receiver one, you bring him to a team that already had a wide receiver one. I think default goes to that CD Lamb is still the wide receiver one on this team. So he's
Yeah.
getting the ball more times than anybody else.
Yeah. I don't have a problem with that. I don't want it just to be like a force type of thing. You know
Yeah,
what I
yeah,
mean? It's like where
yeah,
you're like totally just oblivious to everything else going on. That's what I don't want to happen.
yeah. No,
But
what you do to get him the ball that many times is do what you've done with the Devontae Adams and all these other guys that have been wide receiver ones throughout their career, is you scheme plays to get these guys open into space, get
yes.
away from them, run them in motion. What I keep saying, things that get these guys open, not when they're jammed up on the line and playing in tight coverage, got one safety over the top. And no, not those situations, plays that free those type of guys up.
No, I totally agree, which we have not. So we still have yet to see a lot of motion. Another thing I would like to see is that I don't even want people to even recognize who my slot receiver could be, because that guy could line up different in the slot. There could be a different guy lining up in the slot like every single down. You know what I mean? I want that type of stuff shifted up too. They don't do that either. I mean, there's a bunch of different things they could do to confuse the defense.
Matter of fact, they said CD's lined up in the slot more than any other position at the receiver position this season, predominantly. And I think it should be a balance. It should be almost like how we're moving Micah around on the defensive line.
There's no reason why a Cooks can't be in slot or play a Turpin. I mean, I would even get bolder. I would sit up there and put Vaughn out there in the slot.
Yeah,
I mean,
create matches.
There's a bunch of different stuff that you could do, but I mean, Mike McCarthy wants to be creative, or not be creative. He wants to try and be conservative, which I understand that in a certain extent too. But I just don't want to wait to the back ass end of the game to try and be creative, because you don't want to put yourself in that panic room either. Yeah. As far as stats of a CD, our fan base seems to be very, very stat focused. All I can try and tell listeners is stats. Stats are like bikinis; they show an awful lot, but they don't show you everything. There's a way other things. There's a way other things that be going on that you might not notice. That's not like a key stat or something.
Yes.
Because if the stat was there's such thing as a decoy stat, I think what we're talking about as far as like shifting things around where people line up,
Yeah.
that would definitely be a stat that we would be that would be looking at.
Yes.
But
We've got him.
receivers. Oh, go ahead.
Yeah. Yeah. We had him this past game. Speaking of stats, 7 receptions, 117 yards, which looks good from a stat perspective. Like, man, CD did his thing, but he didn't get in the end zone one single time.
Nope. And then you got to look at the distribution like for other receivers too.
Yeah. Cooks with 1 reception, 36 yards, but he got in the end zone, which helps you win the game.
Yes.
Good.
Yeah, but I still want to see some of them tight end passes too. I still want to see a balance of that too.
Yes.
Because I think that is critical. One thing I did notice is that the play selection is still kind of wonky. I did not like them open. I don't mind you opening up with the one, opening up with a run first play. They did this a couple of times, first down of a series. I don't mind that at all. But if you're not getting 4 yards or whatever, your second play needs to be a pass. If you're 2nd and 9, I don't understand why you're trying to design. And then the run play you're designing is only going to get you like 3 yards anyway. So you're already 3rd and long at that point. So I don't get that play selection at all, because I think that as far as going 3 and out, this team is like the fastest to do that. It seems like they don't even take a minute off the clock; they're already out.
Yeah,
and this happens like 3 or 4 series a game. What's your thoughts on that?
Yeah, it is definitely, we have got to come up, and I don't know why we don't stick to something that seems to work. I've been calling for this again early on in the season, or maybe even in the off season. I was like, we have got to run more jet sweeps type stuff, and I don't mean run the display per se, but bringing Turpin around, bringing Cooks around, even if you just fake it to those guys, it already puts the defense on some sort of alert that, hey, they could get the ball, which takes pressure off of the running back, because that guy's coming around. And as I said, don't be giving the ball to no tight end, and don't be giving the ball to no Michael Gallup. The ball needs to go to Cooks or Turpin on that reverse. And even if you fake it to those guys, the defense will have to respect their speed and not key in on the running back quite as much. And I think things like that will help.
Yeah, because the reality is, I'm not sure if, I know you know this, but I'm not sure if our listeners know, CeeDee Lamb is like probably maybe the 5th fastest person on this team. The 5th.
Not really fast. No.
It's not bad at all, but
no, he's not really fast, like you said. Yeah.
But he still runs what, a 4.44. He's quick, but you got Vaughn is faster, you got Turpin is faster, you got Cook is faster, your Pollard might be faster. You got like these other weapons you need to utilize that still surpasses your number one receiver. At least open things up even more so for your number one receiver if you learn how to utilize the other speed that you have on your team.
Exactly. Cooks had, and I know it's a play that you guys hate to see sometimes, reverses and jet sweeps, but Cooks,
I do.
1 carry for 14 yards. When you get it in the hand of the right person who has speed, and not Cedric Wilson when he was here, you was giving it to Cedric Wilson on those end around type of stuff. You get it to guys that move quickly. They can change direction quickly.
Yeah, I'm not gonna sit there and deny it. I'm not a fan of those plays at all. 9 times out of 10, they just don't work for us.
Yeah,
the bubble screen definitely does not work for us. If
you put it in the right guy's hand, like I said, you throwing a bubble screen to CD, he might slip through because he's not a pretty wide guy. He's pretty thin. But if you put it in the hand of Brandon Cooks and get him behind the right blockers or a Turpin, I'd like to see Brandon Cooks in that role a little bit more. I know Turpin, he's fast too, but Cooks looks like he can take bounce off some people versus Turpin. First person he hits is probably going to knock him back about 5 or 6 yards. He's not that big. But I think if you get it into somebody like a physical hand like Cooks on those type of plays, I think you could see something.
Yeah. And I would like to try and run the ball more. I do want Donald to get the ball more. The last time we seen Vaughn, they just need to utilize him the right way.
Yeah,
because what they're doing with him, or what they were doing with him, does not work. He's too small for that. You got to give him space.
Yeah,
I mean, maybe a lot of space. I don't know, but what they're doing right now, it does not work. I don't want him out there trying to block anybody.
Yeah.
I mean, they need to do something. He needs to be one of your utility options,
Yeah. Yes.
I mean, situational player, whatever that looks like. You get Turpin and him both out there at the same time. You do something, but you need to have two of those type of guys out there. You got to have your
Yeah.
burners, a couple of your burners on at the same time.
Yes. That creates mismatch because most defenses is not going to have that kind of speed, especially down to like the third player. And
Mm-hmm.
they do have speed. They probably don't have the skill to go along with it to make a play. Um, but like you said, yeah, I just don't get it why we seem to be the team that struggle the most with putting personnel out there on the field and creating mismatches. I mean, why are we still not bringing in the fullback in the red zone area?
I don't get that neither.
I just don't know. We got guys on the team and we're just not bringing them on the field. We got Deuce Vaughn, who in the red zone, you probably hard to find if you get them behind the right guy in the red zone. I mean, put them in situations, they should come in certain circumstances, like in the red zone where Vaughn is hard to find down there, or
Well, see, to me
yeah,
with Vaughn, you got to put him in a passing situation at that point.
yeah,
We're talking
yeah,
goal line because you can't. I mean,
yeah,
because you. I mean, I don't know. The one thing. Well, it depends how close you are to the goal line. If you're on the goal line, you can't run them like that. But if you're
yeah,
like on the
yeah,
three, you might be able to pull off a trap. You might
yep,
be able to pull off a trap
yeah,
against a goal line defense, but you need to have a
right,
little room to make it work.
yes,
But yeah, I don't know. I mean, I
yeah.
would like to see it utilized more. I mean, I like to still think that they're holding some things to the vest or whatever, which strategically still makes sense. You know, I mean, do you think they're holding some things still? They,
I say that, but man, it is so foolish though. It's like this team just thinks we're going to make it to the playoffs and we're going to get in the second round. That's when we're going to let our hands go. Well, I don't know because once we get in the playoffs, we still don't seem like we see the offensive explosion. So I'm like, what are you holding the cards to do? When do you plan on playing the cards? Super
yeah.
Bowl? I mean, we're not getting that far in the postseason. So you have got to be showing that stuff and be creative enough that when we do run it, we can run it again at some other point in the next couple of games or so. We just got to be creative. We just don't have one play like that, and that's why we so don't want to play it because well, once we run it, they don't know what to look for next time. Then create it in such a way that you can run it, but with different personnel or out of different looks.
Mm-hmm. No, I agree. I agree with you. What's your thoughts at the end of the half? The 8 seconds. What happened with that? Because that I still don't understand that.
Yeah, I don't know. I really don't know. We seem to be when it comes down to clock management and game management. That's a reflection on the coach. I mean,
Yes.
you've got you. I'm out there at training camp this past summer. We hear it on the little training camp lives type stuff. They are practicing for these type of situations, the mojo minute or whatever they call it. And we still can't seem to execute when we get into situations like that where we've got to line up, make a play. We're still looking goofy at those
Mm-hmm.
points in the game.
Yeah, I don't get it. But I think the whole practice thing, that's a whole other conversation because I don't think the practices that they do is legit anyways, because the practices are so soft. You're not practicing challenging real game time speed. You're not challenging. I mean, so how are you supposed to be right? And these specific situations where you're supposed to be like razor sharp and tight. How are you supposed to be razor sharp and tight is when you practice stuff you're not even practicing in a real game time situation where
Yeah,
everyone's going half speed. So how? I mean, it doesn't make sense to me.
yeah.
you know.
But
So I
I
mean, you can't tell me to run this play in practice all of a sudden to crank it up in my brain like,
yeah,
well, it's gonna be 10 times faster than this in the real game. So
I said I don't know what that came down to. I made a comment during the game in the chat that maybe it was a confidence thing. I hope that's not what it was, where you felt that I didn't want my quarterback running another play because I'm fearful he might throw a pick in this certain situation. So I don't want to take a shot at the end zone. So I'm just going to let the clock run down. I just don't know. But we played it extremely safe with enough time to target the end zone at least
Yeah,
once. You
yeah,
can fade
yeah,
route.
yeah. You could do the fade. You could do the fade in the back corner. Yeah, that would have ate up like 6 seconds. You could have
Yeah,
easily did that.
shoulder
But
pad. Yeah.
they didn't do it. But now let me go ahead and say with the trust thing now. Dak Prescott has only thrown 4 interceptions this season.
Yes.
Compared to other, I mean,
Yeah.
he's the leader in our division.
Yeah.
So again, there's a particular segment of the fan base
Yeah.
that still says that this man's inaccurate, an interception machine.
Mm-hmm.
The stats don't show it, just like half the things people say about him. But that's a whole other thing. Let's go to the defense. How many weeks in a row are we going to have to go to our defense lining up off sides like we're a bunch of Pop Warner players?
I just don't get it, and I don't even know how do you fix that at this level with a team that I thought coming into the season we had enough depth that if you wanted to make a statement or prove a point to a player, you could sit him down because there was a guy that's coming off of the sidelines that's just going to be almost just equally as good as him.
Mm-hmm.
But as we're now, this many weeks into it now, 6 weeks in, I don't know. The depth just all of a sudden just doesn't look the same, and you just don't know what's going to come off of the bench next. And if somebody's going to be targeted, we're going to give up a big play when the next guy comes in off the sideline. But I did
Yes.
see they pulled Dante Fowler off when he had and I could read his lips. He says something along the lines like they want me off. Like he was questioning, like what happened? Like they're pulling me out, and they were like, yeah, come on out. You just goofed.
Yeah, I mean, and that's the way it's supposed to be. I mean, that's when I was being coached back in the day. That's how it was for me. Like in any type of sport level. Yeah, you can make a mistake, and yeah, you might get off the first mistake. You make that mistake again, you'll just on the bench and think about it for a little bit.
It's Jimmy Johnson style to me.
Yeah, I mean, to me, that's the way it's supposed to be.
Yeah.
But I don't know, like you said, I don't know if you could do that with this roster right now because I don't think the depth is there. I thought, excluding the penalties, which the penalties just made me just want to just lose my mind. Between the false starts on the offensive side and just the defensive stuff, extending drives. I thought the defense was actually pretty solid. They put a lot of pressure on Herbert the whole game. But this goes to, I know we've talked about it before in the past, Ron, about the pressure versus sacking, or being in someone's face and putting a helmet or touching somebody versus sacking. And I think this was probably like a pretty good example of that.
Yes. And I stand corrected because I questioned this a couple of seasons ago.
Yes.
And I think Kyle may have brought it up that their pressures can be valuable in this game. I must admit, pressures did look like it was just as good as a sack this game because and I look as though it looks like it's depending on the quarterback.
Mm-hmm.
Some quarterbacks can't handle pressure like other quarterbacks can, like an Aaron Rodgers or some of these top Patrick Mahomes. Pressure may not always do it because those guys, even with pressure, they're going to get rid of the ball quick and they're going to deliver it with a strike. But when you got a quarterback like Herbert or some of these other guys that aren't quite as proven yet, sometimes pressure is enough in a game. That's all. I take it back that in certain situations, pressure is just as good as a sack.
Yeah, because I mean, it's like sometimes, he would drop back and Michael Parsons not anywhere close enough to the play, but he's still in the quarterback's vision. He might have seen him slash by. He's still in the vision. You can see him like trying to come some type of way. It's like inevitable eventually. And thankfully, that was the second to the last play of the game, where we could call it for ourselves as a victory because that was an excellent sack by Michael Parsons.
Oh, yes. Right on time.
Yep, I mean, it couldn't have come at a better time. Then the interception to follow, he just wanted to get rid of that ball. I was just wondering, what do you think the conversation of Herbert and that throw was on Tuesday morning? Was there anything similar to what our team would say and do? And you think it was? You think people are demanding Herbert to leave the league or hoping that he gets hurt or whatever?
I don't think so. For one, you don't have as aggressive of a fan base when you're talking about the Chargers. I mean, you see, we got.
Did you see the girl?
Yeah, you got people that look like paid actors. You can't tell me because that's L.A.
Yeah.
You can't tell me that person wasn't a paid actor.
Oh, she
And
was.
that was
She wasn't
part of
actually. She wasn't actually.
it.
I saw an interview of her and stuff. She is a Charger fan. She's also a Vikings fan. They popped up a picture of her being a Vikings fan also, and she explained saying, "I believe you can love two teams like that." And I would say, maybe if you're 5 years old, you could, but if you're a grown adult, no, you can't. But I mean, that's a whole other conversation. We're entitled to one team, people. You got to sit there and support 15 of them because I mean, because I remember I had a friend, a side note, Packer fan and a Broncos fan. And ironically, one year they're both in the Super Bowl together, and I was like, man, this just don't understand how tacky this looks. But anyways,
Hmm.
but but back to the Cowboys defense. Bell showed up. Any other notables from the defense?
Yeah, I think what was it? Ogie showed up.
Yes.
Digizua, I think is how you pronounce that. He came in big, crashing into the backfield a few times, I believe. So yeah, a couple of times, and tackle for a loss. So yeah, a few times he got in there a few times. So yeah, I really liked his play. I just wish we can get a little bit more. D Law,
Mm-hmm.
I saw him with some of those, pressures again. He's probably going to be the first player maybe to go in the Hall of Fame off of pressures. I don't know.
He might.
He's racking them up. When it comes to pressures, sacks ain't there, but the brother can pressure.
No, he
He
can. Yep.
he batting some balls around. So he's doing it.
No, I mean, you definitely got to give him credit. I don't want him to start talking anything about hot boys again and stuff like that. But yeah, he's definitely deserves credit. Gilmore decided he looked like not a senior citizen this week with that pick, so that was nice. Um, Bland, he didn't look bad. I think he's settling in. I mean, I think this will be great experience for him, especially going into maybe next season, even having Diggs. I'm really looking forward to having a Diggs and Bland type of deal next year, which I think that's going to end up happening. I think that's going to be lovely. What else do we got on the defensive side?
Yeah, as far as that Gilmore, I mean, we're going to have some ups and downs this season. I mean, that's just going to be expected. When we signed him, the expectation was not for him to be the cornerback one. It was for him to be covering mostly the CB2s and at occasionally lining up on a wide receiver one. Now, for the most part, we've got him in circumstances where some weeks it's going to be, you get Tyreek Hill or something like that where
Oh Lord,
we
Miami's still coming.
we better have some safety help. Stephon Diggs, you better have some safety help in those particular situations, and those are going to be key. Where Bland and whoever else is opposite is going to really going to have to continue to play consistent on that other side. And I've even seen rumors, people saying, hey, maybe we should take a stretch and bring in Surtain if Denver offers him up, and I wouldn't, I don't know. I don't know what have to give up. You're probably going to have to give up a number one for
And
him.
see, you can't do that because I mean, my thing is, well, maybe you could. That's still just a little rich.
It,
I think one thing I think that would fix this if we had like a legit strong safety versus these hybrid linebackers slash safeties. You know what I mean? I mean,
yeah,
if you could have
yeah.
like a pure this is what you are, maybe it
Yeah.
would look a lot different. What do you think?
I agree. I like Hook though. Hook,
Yeah.
he has really stepped up. I know he to me he was a little shaky in the beginning, and that could just be as he was just that communication thing. Like I said, with Diggs being out the lineup, it may have been the same thing with him because he was new to the secondary and he was trying to build some chemistry. But he is starting to look a little better, but still, like you said, he's still not quite where people at quarterbacks are second guessing whether they should throw whenever he's back there, which is probably a good thing because that puts him in some good situation to make plays. I'd like to see a little bit more picks or a little bit more explosion when guys don't make plays and he's knocking them off their block type of thing. It's some sort of more of an intimidating factor back there.
Mm-hmm.
But he's decent. He's decent. But yeah, when he's started getting into a little bit more high-powered offenses where safety is going to really come into play, That's when we're going to really have to see
Yeah.
what he got, or what would we have
Mm-hmm.
from that. It's coming.
Especially in terms of more aggressive types of offenses too, because I mean we end up showing our weakness because the weakness of this defense is primarily we're undersized.
Yeah, like I said, we got on the defense now. I thought the defense did pretty good down the stretch. The whole team kind of looked shaky a little bit in the beginning. We got a little bit of a slow start. I think that's what we have definitely got to pick up on. We've got to find a little bit more creativity as we go into the bye week. Come up with something to see how we can get these other guys on offense a little bit more involved. The defense, we need to see a little bit more of what we saw early on in the season, because it's really starting to look like it was maybe the competition that was making those guys look the way they were. I know we did have Diggs, so that could be it too. Like I said, I feel that the communication without Diggs being out there could be part of the problem. Um, we've got to find a way to. It's good to make some stops late in the games, but forcing some more punts and getting some turnovers would be a lot better than us having to nail bite on almost the last one or two possessions of a football game.
That's we got bye week coming up. I think it's always good for the bye week. Cowboys can rest up.
Let's get a shout out to Brandon Aubrey right now. Since we got a couple of weeks, so maybe a jinx won't set in. Since we'll have 2 weeks, maybe the jinx will wear off by next week. So let's give a shout out to Brandon Aubrey right now while we can, who's looking excellent in the kicking game right now.
Yes, he does. He does look great. I mean, but you know how it could go. All you gotta do is miss one in the whole.
So we got a bye week. So that's why I'm going to give the shout out now.
Yeah,
that's why I want to give the shout out right now, because we got another whole week for that to wear off, for that to be forgotten, and then we go into next week. So I want to shout them out now while we're going into a bye week, where nothing can happen on this upcoming week. So
yeah, so it takes somebody to miss one, and everybody be talking about cut that man with our fan base because you're supposed to make every single field goal you ever attempt. Mm-hmm. Ask the guy from San Francisco last week.
Yeah.
Quickly, to me, San Francisco is still miles beyond better than us. Thoughts?
After what I saw on this past weekend, I don't know if they're miles, but they're still ahead right now until I can get some more consistency out of defense. We played good against San Diego, but I've got to see that on a regular basis to be able to match San Francisco. Up until Sunday, I didn't think Cleveland's defense was that much ahead of us. But from what I saw on Sunday, maybe they are.
I think they are. I think they're just more of a traditional defense than us. Our defense is like a hybrid defense compared to the teams that you look at that you think they're really, really good defensively. San Francisco, Cleveland Browns, Jets, teams like that. They're still a more traditional defense because of size compared to us. Mm-hmm. And that's just the thing right now. I mean, I hope we work on the size thing. I mean, we can't do it now, but maybe in the offseason, some things that we could do. Yeah. You know. But anyway, go ahead.
Just got to put ourselves in some good situations. I mean, yeah, it's size and everything, but these guys just got to make a play on the ball, and guys got to be backed up in case they do make a play and they miss. We got to have somebody to clean up the mess right behind them. So, but yeah, I don't know what else we can do with that, but yeah, maybe that's what the difference is with how, I mean, and look how the Jets manhandled the Eagles. We got the Eagles coming up soon. We'll be able to see a second evaluation of what we have as a defense.
Yeah, I'm worried about the Rams right now.
Yep.
I mean, got Rams, Eagles, Giants got some relief, but yeah, these two next games or stuff are critical. I mean, these are just think the way things can roll out. This Eagles game could be for the lead in the division. It could be for the half game lead of the division.
Yes.
So I mean, Rams. We got to play championship level football. Which we'll talk more about that game next week, because we don't know. I mean, what could change between now and then in the wonderful world of the NFL.
Yes.
But do you have anything else for the people this evening, Ron?
No, I'm just thankful that we got the win. It was a win A lot of people said we really needed it. I don't know if it was quite as bad as what we were making it out to be, but it's good that we got the win because we saw what was coming up on the schedule. So if we had to win a game, we needed to get that one because the schedule gets a little bit tighter as we start to advance more into the season.
Oh no, I took it serious. I thought it was a big game because I'm telling you, in the multiverse, in one of the other parallel universes going on right now, we lost that game. Mike McCarthy and stuff is probably still in LA. That has not found a flight back to get to Texas. He's been fired.
Yeah,
So
put it that way. You're right because we had Kellen Moore, and the last thing we wanted to do is have Dan Quinn or McCarthy lose a game against Kellen Moore. It may not have sat very well with Jimmy Johnson, with Jerry Jones.
no, he wouldn't have made the flight back home.
Mhm.
But anyways, we'd like to thank the listeners for tuning into our program as always. We'll be back next week with some more Dallas Cowboys stuff. Hope you guys enjoyed the bye week. On behalf of myself and the Starstruck fan, we'll see you guys next time. And how about them Cowboys?
How about them Cowboys?